Hello and welcome back to On the Workbench. Today we're taking a look at the brand new Kobalt XTR, you read that right, 24 volt max brushless grease gun. Not a nail gun today, a grease gun. One more tool in the lineup of high performance tools from Kobalt has just recently come out. And so we look at the box, you see it comes in this nice little plastic blow molded carry case like all the other XTR tools do. If we turn it around and just read the specs off the back of the box, up to 10,000 PSA operating pressure, 3 electronic flow rates, LCD display, and up to 8 grease tubes per charge of a 2 amp hour battery. That's actually quite a lot of grease to move through, so that's probably going to have a pretty good motor on it. A 42-inch whip hose, at least to me, most notable features. The other thing that catches my attention is the fact that it comes in a blow molded case. We now have the case stack system. How cool would it have been if this would have been a case stack compatible blow molded case or a case stack case itself? Now I know that would have added to the cost a little bit to this. So this tool here comes wrapped in plastic, and there may be a little plastic extra little zip tie here at the top. You've got to find a way to cut or use a knife to cut on you. There we go. And we'll remove the wrapping. I should also add the other spec on this that I thought was noteworthy is that this is tool only. So if you're looking for a battery and a charger with this, you're looking in the wrong place. I do like the little buckles that are here. That's nice. Up here, tucked away in the lid, we do have, we've got some yellow and black caps, our instruction manual. And what else do we have in here? That looks like that's about it. And then we have a shoulder strap. That's nice. I didn't realize the shoulder strap came with this. And then we have the tool itself, nicely bagged up. You got that nice, fresh tool smell. One of the first things I noticed looking at this out of the package, first of all, it does not include any grease as it comes. There's also no belt clip on this. Not that you necessarily want it, because it does have a shoulder strap, kind of like the garden sprayer, if you will. No battery and no grease cartridge that comes with this. We've got at the top here, we've got, first of all, our handle here. This just feels like a different, like a slightly modified or changed handle for the XTR. There's a little diamond imprint there. I don't remember that being there on the other XTR tools. Lock on or off switch here. We got our points at either end here to be able to connect our shoulder strap. So now I'm going to grab a 2 amp hour battery. This is what the package says that this tool is designed for, and I think that makes sense. That if you're going to go through, in theory, 4 entire cartridges with one of these, that's a lot of greasing and lubing that you're doing. And it's going to go over your shoulder. So I don't know, I guess you could put a bigger battery on, but we'll just go with that. And let's take a look at that LCD screen. I'm going to go ahead here. So we can see here we've got 3 speeds. We can go speed 1, 2, 3. And we can also turn on a light. Let's see if you can see this here. Right there at the front of the tool, an extra light. That's a nice touch. And then it'll also give you a readout of how many ounces of grease you've dispensed. So that's a nice little extra touch too. So if you're trying to figure out that you need to add a couple ounces of grease to lube something up, that's good. Now if we look at the whip end of the hose here, this end of the hose, let's see what we've got here, does not have a coupler. I'm sorry, does not have a locking coupler. So this is one that you have to hold on to your grease zerk. And now if we look at the back of the tool here, I'm going to take the battery off just to make sure there's nothing in here. We can unscrew the rear end of the tool. Nice grips there. We've got a blue color code here. And in this case here, the whole cartridge pops out. Let me get a shop towel right quick, just to double check. And right here you can see that there is no grease cartridge that comes with this. So one of the really interesting, we'll call this accessories that they give you, comes in this bag, some yellow and black color chips. And if you're wondering what are these yellow and black color chips for, well, those are actually replacements. You can pop these blue out here. So if you've got more than one of these Kobalt grease guns hanging around your shop, and so you've got one for white lithium, you've got one for red grease, you've got maybe one with food grade super lube grease, or some other different kinds of grease, you can color code them with these little tabs so you know just by a quick glance which one you're looking at, which I think is actually really cool, because a lot of folks need more than one kind of grease around their shop to get all their lube done. And so that's actually really cool. So now if we're going to load some grease in here, I can pull this thing back, and then there is a little clutch point at the bottom there, and that'll hold that down so I can load in a grease cartridge. Now for me, I like red grease. Your mileage may vary. You may like other colors of grease. I like red. And so then today what I've got is this Lucas Oil red and tacky grease that I'm going to be putting into the grease gun and loading up today for grease. I like red grease. Obviously everyone has their preferences for the color of grease that they like. But as we go forward to be able to load the grease gun, let's come back here to the front of the tool and take a quick look here. On the side right here, this is actually an airlock valve, so we can adjust how much air gets into the tool. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this off to begin with and close that all the way down to tighten that up. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my red and tacky grease. I'm going to pull the lid off. Then with this handle in that locked position, I'm going to go ahead and put this end down with the seal of the can at the top, just like this. And then that's going to end up going in something like this, give or take. And then now that this is in, I'm going to go ahead and open up the cartridge here, kind of like you're opening a soda can, just like that. That's what my shop towel is for. Then I'm going to take the tool, control the other end of the hose. Now this does come pre-lubed with some factory grease. I'm just going to go ahead and spin this around here like this and screw it in. Tighten it down. There we go. That's feeling tight for me right now. And now that I've done that, I'm going to take this rod end here, and I'm going to move it back up in this clutched position here, and let this go ahead and squeeze this back down. Something like that. So that is now in place. Now one of the things here, remember how we have this bleeder valve here? If we need to get rid of some air, we can open this up to help to release some air to help that go. Now in theory, because there already is some grease in here, it should be modestly self-primed. But you also could, in theory, with that pull handle, use grease out of a bulk drum container, if that's how your shop gets it, with the little handle pump, and you pump your tube full of grease. Works either way. You don't need the nice and handy cartridge style. You could use the bulk grease as well. And then now we're going to put the battery back on. And then because of the other grease that was there, we're going to need to make sure that we get the red grease coming back through. And if we look, you can see there's a gear going. Do you see that there? There's this weird, almost like a ketchup looking appearance there of the white grease that came with it and the red grease I just loaded. Hopefully you can see that there on the towel. But since I'm changing grease types, now I've got a nice solid flow of the red grease. So that is perfect, and I am in business with this now. Obviously, let me just go ahead and slow this down. So here's mode 1. Now we're going to go to mode 2. And mode 3. It's going to be your call on what's going to be the right speed application for what you're doing based on how much volume of grease you need to dispense. Think about some of my friends in the agriculture industry that have to grease up some of their discs and equipment quite a bit, and in the heavy construction industry that have to do the same. But now you're probably wondering, what in the world do you do with this end of the grease gun? Well, lucky for you, in the back of the tool here, there is a little slot right there that you can tuck that into to be able to store that right out of the way. Obviously, you got a loop up here you have to contend with for what you're going to do with that. And it actually sits on a bench rather nicely. So let's go lube up some stuff and see how it performs. All right, first things first, we've got a Craftsman floor jack here, little grease zerk there. I'm going to pull out my nozzle. I'm going to put this on just like that. Hold that in place. Turn on my tool just by clicking it here. I'm going to put this here in speed mode 1 and give it just a little grease. And I can see some of the grease oozing out. That was just enough there, except for it actually looks like I pulled the grease zerk off. So that's going to be another repair I'm going to have to do, but that's not the point of this video. So let's, I'm going to pause this and fix this, and we'll go grease something else. The next thing I've got here is a Skag mower. This is an SFC 30, if you're wondering. And there's a zerk here at the front. We'll go ahead and grease the zerk fitting here. I'll go ahead and put this on. Pop it right on. Now I'm going to grab the grease gun here. Quick flick of the trigger activates the screen. I don't know how well that comes across on camera. And now I'm going to give it a little click here. And you can see the grease, maybe you can't there, oozing out. So that joint there is nice and lubed, ready to go for spring mowing season. There we go. And then we will lather, rinse, and repeat the same process right here on the other side of the mower. Click it on. There we go. Pop it off. And we are good to go. Looking at the end, there is a little bit of some debris at the end there. So just to keep my tool a little bit clean and tidy, this is something that's going to get a little bit messy over time. I'm just going to give it a wipe down with the shop towel. And then I'll take the side slot there, just tuck it away. And then I can figure out where to wrap my cable around. Or maybe I can even wrap the cable around. There we go, like this. And so now that takes up a nice compact spot. Pull the battery off. No ooze, no spilling, and we're good to go. So now that you've seen it in action, hopefully you can see that this tool has plenty of power. There is no worry about that, and it is super easy just to pull the trigger and go, and then your grease will come through. And I love the extra caps on the side. Obviously, you're going to make sure you don't lose the color code tabs. Maybe you need to use a Sharpie to write down what color it is, put a letter code on it, and then you can be able to match that back up. If you want to attach the shoulder strap, it does have some nice swivels on it, a nice little clip. I'm at least going to put this on for now. I don't know how long this is going to stay on, but... And then this other one flicks around over here. like this, throw it over your shoulder and you're good to go. Put this in the side of your tractor, your implement, or whatever other piece of power machinery you're working on, back of a trailer, and you've got a great tool here. And so honestly, I'm kind of excited that Kobalt came out with this. I wasn't expecting a XTR grease gun, or just a grease gun in general, to be honest with you, because to me, grease guns or power grease guns tend to be kind of high-end tools that have a very niche market. Most homeowners don't have a lot of equipment that needs grease zerks anymore. Your cars don't usually have to get a lot of grease points anymore. A lot of that has been, we'll call it lubed for life. I'm not sure I agree with that, but I love that this came out. And will definitely help a lot of people really see that the XTR lineup and the Kobalt tools really are here to play, because this is not generally something I think of as a consumer tool. And so if you can play in this space, you can play in the other spaces too. If you look at that finish nailer I did a while back, that thing's got some tremendous power in it. And the fact that you can supposedly get 3 whole grease cartridges, I'm not going to waste 3 grease cartridges on camera today to test that, but if that claim is true and you can get that out of just one 2 amp hour battery pack, hey, that's great, because that's easier than having to pump and pump and pump to be able to try to get the amount of grease out that you want. Now, something else that you may possibly need to consider, depending upon your application, there are some other accessories, like here's a 90-degree grease coupler adapter that is available. This is not a Kobalt part explicitly, but if you look here, there's a little catch right there for a ball and a grease zerk right there. And I'm just going to be able to test this here for you to see if this works with other grease accessories. Pop that on. Then now I've got a nice little convenient right angle attachment if I've got a tight place to go. So this does work with other grease gun accessories. I'll go ahead and pop this off. Just like that. And return that to storage. But yes, this does work with other grease gun accessories. So if you find yourself in the market for a grease gun, I think this is actually a really amazing tool and something I'm excited that Kobalt has come out with here in 2024. And so if you got any questions or comments, put it down below. Love to hear about it. If you've got any other ideas of places you would use this, or where you think a typical homeowner might use this, I'd love to hear about it. Maybe you've got some other places that I'm not thinking of where most homeowners might overlook greasing something. Put it in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and also thanks to the folks behind the scenes at Kobalt for making today's video possible. And as always, have a great day. Bye.